Hi, and welcome to EnviroCentre's Green Room. Meet the people on the front lines of climate action and find out what keeps them up at night. I'm Mandy, and this week we're joined by artist Alana Yang. Welcome, Alana. Would you like to introduce yourself to our listeners?
Oh, yes, of course. So my name is Alana. I am from Seattle, Washington. And then I am a high school rising senior, so I'll be going into 12th grade next year. Art-wise, I think I do mainly acrylic art and then digital art, also a little bit of everything else as well. And then I just usually paint or draw about topics that I'm interested in, for example, the environment, obviously, and a lot more of other, I guess, random things as well. In my free time, I like to do art, obviously, and then I also enjoy music, animals, reading, being out in the sun, getting fresh air. And yeah, that's about it.
That's great. Thank you. And I believe you were the winner of a certain prize. Do you want to mention that?
Oh, yeah, sure. So I participated in the BAUC, I think it was the 2020-2021 competition. It's an ocean awareness competition, basically. And then my art was able to win the gold award. So, like the international kind of first place.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah.
So we ask all of our guests to bring one environmental fact to share. What have you brought with you today?
I guess it's kind of like a science fact in general, but it would be that we know more about the moon's surface than the bottom of our oceans. So I thought that would be kind of, interesting to put out there, since today I'm mainly going to talk about like ocean environment related things.
Wow, that is really interesting. I actually didn't know that. So thank you for sharing. So what climate problem keeps you up at night?
I would say one issue that is particularly like in my head recently is ocean acidification, which is when the ocean absorbs too much carbon dioxide and then increases the amount of like hydrogen ions, and which in turns would decrease the pH and make the ocean more acidic. Obviously, it has like a big impact on marine life, especially oysters and corals with like harder shells, because they can't build their structures without the without the carbonate they need, because all of that is reacting with the excess hydrogen. So if the pH one day gets low enough, these shells could even potentially dissolve. I would say the more acidic ocean environment also damages the ability of certain fish species to detect predators, or even affect their reproduction and their offsprings. And I mean, just this issue in general, since the ocean is so interconnected and like our waterways as well, I think small changes could be magnified into bigger problems very easily. And yeah, I mean, it just not really the ocean, marine community, marine ecosystem, but also, I guess, worldwide impacts on humans, like food sources, the economy, just everything.
For sure. Yeah, the impact is certainly not just, where the change is actually happening. It definitely spreads beyond that. Thank you for sharing that. What solution?
I would say, I mean, the most obvious solution is to control our carbon dioxide emissions and then reduce our use of fossil fuels by switching to more renewable energy or renewable resources. And then acting on climate change in general can help solve ocean acidification and a lot of other issues as well. But I would say there's also more innovative research going on that offers more creative solutions. Like I think I read this one report about how growing sea plants can potentially help with ocean acidification. So I think, if research becomes more on this topic, becomes more mature, or if we know more about it, then there can also be other solutions.
So what's in the way then?
What's in the way? Um, I think obviously economically there are a lot of challenges with, changing how we use our energy and then changing what we use as our energy. It's more expensive to be using more sustainable sources, and just not everyone has that same access in general. And I think companies can and government can be hesitant to limit the prices on the so I think companies can be hesitant to limit their carbon emissions because the prices of their manufacturing does go up if they do that, and governments can also be hesitant as well for that same reason. And I think people in general don't really like to make that many drastic changes to the way they live because they see, I guess climate change isn't an issue that you feel just immediately. And a lot of people who live in areas or locations that are less impacted can feel that a lot less. So the motivation is sort of a little bit less to do so as well.
Yeah, thank you. So, I mean, obviously, as a society, we need to kind of change our culture and act to fight climate change. But how else can people help?
How else can people help? There are a lot of smaller things that ordinary people like you and I can do, like powering our homes with renewable energies like solar panels or other types of technology, and reducing water waste, driving more fuel efficient cars or vehicles. I guess another good way would be supporting research efforts on climate issues or ocean acidification more specifically, so we could have a better understanding of what we're talking about here. And then just kind of what I said in the interesting fact that we know more about the moon than we know about our ocean. I think that's really kind of shocking to me, at least when I first heard about it. So really making sure that we're spending more effort into exploring our ocean and our environment in terms of research could be really beneficial. However, I do think that decisions on bigger levels need to be made as well, like international policies or agreements pushing for cleaner forms of energy that is actually being enforced, or regional levels of public transport upgrades or sustainable city planning. I mean, I'm aware that there are obviously a lot of different challenges and difficulties, like accessibility or economic concerns, again, that's in the way, especially when it's decision making on the global level. But those would definitely be very helpful on the macro scale.
That was a great answer. Very diverse set of things that we can do that really anyone can be a part of, no matter what their lifestyle. So with all of that in mind, and considering that you're obviously very passionate about the ocean and climate change in general, what is the good future?
I think the good future with our rapidly developing technologies, which is getting better and better every day, hopefully we can have solutions for cheaper, more accessible, more convenient energy alternatives available to everyone, to all of the industries. And we would hopefully get carbon emissions in control somehow. It's a long way to go, but including other greenhouse gases and pollution as well. We would also be helping our marine ecosystems recover and rebound from all the damages already done to them. So after all, ocean acidification is only a small part of what's going on in the ocean and in our atmosphere, in our planet. So I think, again, research could be a really important part of all of it, because it would help us understand more of what we're talking about, come up with more innovative and effective solutions, and also just, I guess, helping with restoration efforts. I know people are doing research on, like at least in our area, I'm involved in a project with helping Olympia oysters restoration through research of their past environment. So things like this, would definitely benefit what will happen in the future. But I say overall, we do have a lot of challenges to overcome and a lot of barriers in between of where we are now and where we would like to be in the future. But I think I'm still pretty hopeful overall, because we could still fix this. It's not just like irreversible. And I think in my piece, actually, for the Bausi competition, the main theme is hope, and sort of how we still have that little like spark in the future, if we focus on our education and awareness, and just younger generation stepping up to make decisions and use our voices for related issues, climate issues that we care about.
That's it for this week's Green Room. Thanks so much for joining us as we get to the heart of climate action. You can find out more about our work and sign up for our newsletter at EnviroCentre.ca. Follow us on your favorite podcast app or subscribe on YouTube. See you next time.